So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and joining me today for a second time because I talked with this band like a year and a half ago when the channel was pretty new. I have Sean, Jerry, and Andrew from Nothing New. They're like a progressive doom metal band from the States, and we're here to talk about the new album that is coming out this Friday called Withered in Bone. So, how are you guys today?
Good.
I'm awesome. Yeah, I'm awesome.
I thought you said
Doing
you're
well.
awful.
No, I said I'm awesome.
Awesome. So, yeah, guys, it's good to have you back here on the channel. I know, I think Andrew wrote to me like, hey, we're putting out a new album. Or like, do you want to talk to us? I'm like, of course, I want to talk to you guys. You guys interviewed when my channel was new. So it's good to have you guys back, and I like to support like independent artists and music. So the last time we talked, I know it was for In This Together, and I think we went track through the album. We're not gonna do this time, but let's just talk a little bit about the new direction of the band, the new album, and all things in between. So I think we were talking offline, Jerry, that for this album, you guys you self-produced, but you need like your own record label, so you can like ship the material. So tell me a little bit about how the process for doing that.
Well, I guess to start off with, it's just something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be able to help like all the bands that I could possibly help. So if I can start with my own band, um, and get things out, maybe that eventually I can help my friends' bands or just bands that I like in general. Um, Besides that, I mean, it's not that much different than what we did on any of the other albums. We just sort of put a name to it, and I have something I can kick back to like have a platform for. I should do more with it than I am right now, but with life and releasing this album and whatnot, it's just sort of took a little bit of a back seat. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's something that's easier for us as a band to like release and release material and have a platform and whatnot.
Yeah. So what's the name of the record label?
Stand Strong Records.
Nice.
I,
So yeah.
I had an old hardcore band named Stand Strong. I just always liked the name. So
Yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, maybe you can help out local bands in your scene, put out records, and that's how record labels are started. I remember back in the '90s, I think Sub Pop in Seattle started like that, like a very
yeah.
tiny record label, and so many great bands came out of it. So, I listened to the new album, and I like it because there's a mixture of like doomier, longer songs, but there's some further, almost funky, thrashy songs on this one. So Andrew, how did you change things up vocally for this release?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us back.
Yeah, of course.
I really need to start with that. Not really much. Sean, it was Sean coming into the band. I think this is the first one. Again, when we did In This Together, Sean wasn't in the band when it was written, and then he just came in and kind of tweaked some things here and there and put leads and stuff on parts. But this one, he was way more involved in the writing, the riff writing, and the song structure and stuff like that. So it's really, I just kind of do the same thing that I always do, kind of mix the different types of vocal styles, and lyrically, it was more kind of what I've done in the past. In This Together, we set out to do a completely like lyrically completely positive, like because COVID had just happened, and we just you know, the world had been so separated and for, you know, all that year or 2 years or whatever. And, you know, the United States is just divided as a whole politically and this, that, and the other. And we really wanted to do something that kind of was, you know, carrying a flag of unity into battle, so to speak. And this one I kind of got back to maybe a little bit to the darker, the more sour stream of consciousness lyrics. But as far as recording stuff goes, I think, and maybe Jerry can jump in on this, I think we recorded maybe 3/4 of the album the way we had been at Jerry's, you know, recording setup, and with Jerry has moved to a different town, which put us, you know, further apart. So I, you know, kind of bought a cheap laptop and you know, a Scarlett audio interface and got my microphone set up going, and they started kind of sending me MP3s, and now I record the stuff by myself and then send the you know, the stuff that I record MP3s to Jerry, and he kind of, you know, mixes it all and fixes the things that I don't do well in recording.
Yeah, makes sense. So I see you the last time we talked, I know that the beards have been getting longer, except Jerry looks the same.
Grayer.
Yeah.
Longer and grayer is correct.
That happened.
Yeah.
So Sean, I remember when we talked the first time, yeah, you were like newer to the band, so you didn't contribute as much, but I think there was a song that it was like a proggier side, longer stride that you contributed. But for this one, you being more now, yeah, having more time with the band, how did you try to tackle your contribution for this album?
Well, like Andrew said, you know, I joined after they had already written and recorded the bass tracks for In This Together. And, you know, I tried to put my stamp on those songs, but I was really excited to actually be able to contribute to the writing this time around. And I guess, I'm always writing, but I got a little more inspired. I've always been writing even before I joined the band. You know, I think most guitar players always come up with stuff on their own. But I got really, you know, having the band now somewhere to focus my writing, I kind of got I got pretty inspired. And you know, I just basically, for me, it's like I've got riffs, and then you start working those into arrangements for songs. And you know, if it's, you know, I think this record has a lot of different styles on it. And you know, basically it was just, I would put a song together and bring it to the band, and just, you know, I hope that they liked it. And fortunately, I think they did like them. So from there, it's just getting it recorded and then letting them put their stamp on it. Jerry, with, you know, we work pretty closely on getting the drum tracks together for each song, but then, you know, he gets to add guitars where he hears something. And then as far as Andrew's vocals, you know, I'm not really somebody who says like, well, this is what I would like you to do for the vocal. It's more exciting to me to just kind of let him run with it. So, but bottom line, I was just excited to see, you know, what the kind of stuff I write would bring to the band's overall sound. So I think it was successful. Hopefully so.
Yeah, and I know you guys are for the drum sound, you're using like drum machines and stuff. How difficult is to get a fucking drummer?
Well, really, it's not that difficult, honestly. Like we have offers. The issue really more for us is like, we really just record, do the videos, release it, and then we're starting on something else. You know, we all have, you know, full-time lives and things of that nature. So it's, you know, we kind of set out to do this as a recording project. So it really just makes, to me, when it was just me and Andrew, it made more sense to use like you know, like the drum sims and whatnot. I've had a few offers, you know, for drums and bass and things like that. You know, I have ideas of people I would like to use. I'm sure they have ideas of people they would like to use. Um, it's really just considering where we go in the future with the band.
Yeah.
Right now, I really enjoy what we're doing with the band. It works out the best for us, and it has for the, you know, the all the years that we've done it. But eventually, you know, like I said, I just moved. There's a guy in this city that knew the band, and he wants to come, you know, play drums and whatnot. So we'll see. You know, just see how it all goes from here.
Yeah, because I know, yeah, you guys are more of a recording project, but maybe sometime in the future, some one-off shows in it would be cool, you know, for people to hear the music live. So the album cover for this, I really enjoyed it because the last album cover I remember it was like a picture of a church, but for this one you really got technical. I'm gonna show the album artwork. So here it is, the new artwork for the album. And I said Rift in Bone. I think I said I said the name incorrectly at the beginning. So tell me a little bit about who did this artwork.
Um, I, it's a guy I found on Facebook. I think it's I'm gonna mess up that name. I might actually have to.
Noah's Ark,
Yes, Noah's Ark. I think
which
he's
sounds
under.
like which sounds like Noah's Ark, but his name is Noah Zark.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Okay.
if that was intentional or not, but
yeah,
yeah,
and
Noah's Ark.
I think he has a like
He's
I think he goes.
obviously very religious.
Yeah, I think he goes by Dark Zark on Instagram, and I think it's Noah Zark on Facebook. So, but yeah, he was on a metal, you know, like a group on there, and was selling his art. And I found this one and liked it, and it was fairly affordable. So I messaged the guys and asked them what they thought. It was we had made art for the album that was similar to this but different. And yeah, when I found this one, like I said, I just messaged the guys, and you know, I don't know, I like this one a lot better. So
Yeah, I like it too. It looks very metal. So uh on this, so what for you the album title, Rift in Bone? How did why that title? Like I know the album is it's pretty differently because there's songs that are like more punkier, fresher, but then you have like the longer, doomier uh, type of songs. So when you come up with the album title for this, uh, did you always have this idea in mind, or did you have like another idea for the
Um,
name of the album?
I'd like to start it if I may, and let Sean take over because the idea was at what cost? You know, what did you have to sell, or what did you have to give up to get to where you needed to be? Again, at what cost was the overall concept of the album? And then you know, we kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and then Sean really took over from there. I guess I'd like for Sean to take over at this point, really.
Well, to follow what Andrew was saying, because some of the things he was talking about there, you know, just the idea of metaphorically shedding your skin, or you know, going through something, transcending, or you know, transcendence, that type of experience. But as we were talking about those concepts, um, there was a word, like, it's, I guess it's like a scientific type word that kind of fits with that theme, but I'm not gonna, it's like ecdysis or something like that, but that had already been used as an album title by another band. I think it was Horrendous who had used that title, so we were like, well,
Mm,
we don't want to do that.
Good.
So and then, and because you know they're an awesome band, we definitely don't want to cop, we don't want to cop from them. But but yeah, and then but the idea of like, shedding skin is kind of a term that you've seen in a lot of places in the arts. Like it's even the name of a Pantera song. So, and then, Nothing New itself had titled their first EP Transcend. This is, well before I joined the band. So we were kind of trying not to copy other bands, but also not trying to repeat ourselves. So, there were titles tossed around and there were a couple we liked. And somehow I hit upon Wreathed in Bone, which to me was like, everything internally in our bodies, your organs, the stuff that keeps you alive, it's encased in bone. It's wreathed in bone essentially. And I guess I was kind of seeing that as a metaphor for our bones are protecting us, as we go through life and as we experience things, just kind of metaphor for that protection for whatever you go through, the changes you experience, that sort of thing, just, throughout life. So, it was a few steps to get to that title, but somehow, somehow I got there. So, fortunately, the other guys liked it, and that's what we went with.
So what are some of the themes that you explore on this record?
I think that's probably a question for Andrew.
Yeah, I think really the only one that has a specific, it was more personal, was the first one released. Can somebody help me with the title?
Indefensible Future.
Indefensible, yes, Indefensible Future. The rest of the album is again kind of that stream of consciousness stuff, the dark, the sour, like, and I purposely make things kind of vague or stream of consciousness so people can, get what they need from it. I don't want to spoon feed people's art to them. I want them to get from it what they want or what they need from it at that time. So I purposely leave things vague. Now that one, Indefensible Future, is vague to a degree, but it was, some things that I was going through at the time, kind of, somewhat cryptic approach to the how everything was put together. But generally speaking, it was, having that strength to say, hey, I'm done with this, and let it, I'm okay with moving on. I can leave you behind, or whatever this bad situation is behind. I'm strong enough to take myself to where I need to be. And if you're whatever I'm leaving behind, if they're cool with it, that's fine. If they're not, they're not. And it kind of, I don't know if Jerry wants to talk about this, but when he heard the song after I had recorded it with the lyrics and everything, and he was like asking me, hey, was this about this situation that I was going through? And it was so funny that it was like kind of spot on, that like, the lyrical theme was something, could have easily been applied to what he was going through, which makes me feel good, because tying into that, why I try to keep the lyrics vague so anybody, can get from it what they need from it. I guess that's where I should stop.
Yeah. So Jerry, how much do you enjoy like doing the producer thing as well? Because you get to tell them like where you're like nothing's up to your standards.
I really love it, honestly. Like if I could do that full time as a job and like make enough money to live, I don't have to be rich or anything like that, just enough money to pay my bills and live, I would give up my day job in a second. I don't think that I'm very like picky really when it comes down to it. I like for us to sound organic as much as we can. I mean, I understand that like how we record and things like that digitally and whatnot, that it's like it's going to take a bit of the organicness away from it. Instead of everybody being in a room and you know, playing their instruments and whatnot. But and I like for every band that I've recorded to do that, which isn't a lot. Don't take it the wrong way, but you know, like the other band that I work with, you know, I want them to sound as organic as possible too. So that's really what I strive for. Like, how can I make us sound like we're in a room playing together, even though we're in 3 different cities in Alabama? Like, how can we sound like we actually did this in a room together, you know, compared to that? And, you know, I like to build like especially with like Andrew's vocals. I like for his vocals to be very warm and have a lot of um like a little bit of reverb and just sound like he's like sitting next to you when he's, you know, like in a bathroom, like, you know, like you're singing in a bathroom, or he's sitting next to you in a car, or, you know, like, you know, whatnot. I like, that's what I like. You know, the guitars and the drums and the bass, all that stuff's easy to get to sound good, but like vocals and, you know, things like that to make it sound right in a song. Like, you know, I like to be really, I'm not picky on it, but I just like for it to be. That's probably what I work on the most. Everything else, I just turn up, turn down, EQ right, you know, things like that.
Yeah, interesting. So
And that kind of, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, that kind of honestly segues into, I think more and more as we're recording the way that we are now, it's going to fall on me when it comes to the vocals to back off the micro. You know, when it comes to vocals, and Jerry will tell you this, you know, when that kind of vocals, less is more. Like back off the vocals, you can always make them louder, but when they're too loud, you get distortion, and that's something that I'm going to have to work on improving at my end.
Yeah,
And oh, sorry.
no,
I was just
go
gonna
ahead,
add.
Sean.
I was just gonna add too, as far as Jerry's being our producer, is that he has a really good ear. Um, I can be really obsessive about recording my guitar parts and my solos. You know, I will record a solo 500 times if I'm not satisfied with it, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I really benefit from having him say, like, look, this is a great take. You know, you want to keep this take because, you know, that's the one, you know, and I trust him because it, you know, what he tells me is like, you know, you nailed it right there. He's like, you may think you can get it better, but that's perfect for the song, or you nailed it, or whatever. Like, I trust him to tell me when something is done and when it's good to go. So he's that's one of his strengths as a producer is his ear that he really helps me with.
Yeah, that's really good. And when you were saying that you practice like guitars solos like 500 times, I just imagine like a tiny Rick Rubin on your shoulder saying like
Right.
Sean, like do it better, like get
Well,
inspired with.
I think that tiny Rick Rubin probably told me to grow this beard too, because it's almost as long as his.
Probably he probably told you that and went to a beach and let you record by yourself for 3 months.
Right.
And then sends you the bill
Unfortunately.
afterwards. So yeah, so for you guys, and each one can have a pick from this new album. Which is your favorite? Was your favorite song to work on, and why? And we can start with let's start with Jerry.
Favorite song to work on. I really liked, and I'm gonna butcher the name of it. Sean, can you jump in and say the name? You say it every time. It starts. This is the one we just released the visualizer for.
Uh,
Hama something.
Hymolacria.
Okay, that was my favorite song because I wrote most of the main riffs for that one. That was my favorite one to write, and it's probably my favorite, probably my favorite on the album. But I mean, we're talking like, you know, just barely. My favorite one to like work on was actually Indefensible Future. As much as that this is gonna, as things that you're not supposed to say in interviews, like my guitar is out of tune in that song, but it still in my mind sounds really good. So it fits, and it was nice that everything fit really well together, and sounded really well. But a very close second, and I'm drawing a blank on the name too. Sean, what was the name of the song where it was like really fast at first, and then like we kind of go slow at the doomier at the end?
I think you're talking about Poison Dependency
All right, that
is the
one
second track on the album.
yeah, that one was fun because I'd never done that before. Like it was really fast, and it had like a really fast beats per minute, and then it like just comes to like not an abrupt, but like it just comes to a different beats per minute. And I'd never done that before in a song. I've never had that idea. So it was fun to work. That was pretty fun to work on. Like it was a challenge. Um, these guys can attest that I get frustrated easily. If like I'm almost like a child. Like if it doesn't go perfectly, I get really, really frustrated. Sometimes I actually have to get up and walk away and like take a breather for a second. But still, it's a little more enjoyable to be frustrated than it is just to do the same thing over and over again. I would honestly rather be doing something that frustrates me, so I'm learning to do more, to do things better, than it is to just do the same thing over and over again. So those
Of
are
course.
mine.
Cool. So what about you, Andrew?
Um, it's weird that like Jerry that ended up with that, but I was thinking the same thing. Honestly, for the most part, for me, because I'm the last person to do whatever, the songs are written, all put together. Then I have lyrics pre-written that I apply to the music, and I come up with the vocal patterns like just kind of in my head. Um, but there was one, maybe Sean can help me. It was one that I mentioned that was really frustrating to me. And it wasn't necessarily like the complexity of riffs or like the complexity of the song structure, but there was just something about the DNA of that song that just really gave me shit. Um, Sean, you know the one I'm talking about?
I think you're talking about Open to Attack, the first track, because I just know that you told me that one really took you out of your comfort zone. And so, I was like, sorry about that, but you knocked it out of the
No,
park.
but yeah, and that's exactly what what Jerry said, and I think that's what we got from the covers album too. Is you have to get out of your and again it was just something in my how I process music in my brain. There was just something about that song. There was really no good reason for it to like just really give me a trouble, but I really did have a difficulty getting lyrics put on that one and coming up with vocal patterns that would work. But that again, back to why we did the covers album partially and that song itself, and what Jerry was just saying is, you got to get out of your comfort zone sometimes. You got to do things that challenge you, or you're never gonna. You might as well. You're not getting any better. You're not improving. You're not moving on to the next thing.
I agree. So finally, Sean, which one for you?
That's really hard to answer because I was really excited about all the songs on this album, but I think I'm gonna go with it's the last track on the album, Sympathetic Nightmare, which
That's a good one, a long one. Yeah.
yeah, that one either me or Jerry said somebody one of us said that was like my magnum opus for this record. That was one I wrote the music for, and from where that song started with the writing, I think it started with that verse riff, but that song went through a lot of changes, mutations, just and I just kept adding stuff to it until it was actually ready to record. And then we recorded it, and it actually had a completely different ending as we recorded it. Um, and then listening back to the instrumental track, I just was never really happy with the ending, and so I thought of something else to where we actually redid it completely. And there's a section in that song where there's like a drum fill, and then it completely changes from that heavy shuffle tempo to a completely different tempo. And we just kind of made it really aggressive at the end with like some more riffs and another guitar solo. And just after we did that, I thought the song really, I thought that was really what it needed to kind of bring that song and the album to a close, because I think that song has a little bit of everything that you can hear on the rest of the album. And I never put something together that was that long with that much complexity. And, you know, Jerry added some parts, some guitar parts to that song that just really kicked some of those sections up a notch. Like some of the more melodic sections, you know, it just really took it to the next level. So, and then that was also a song, that was one of the first ones I think where Andrew recorded his vocal on his own, and then sent it to us or sent it to Jerry. And, you know, I think it's all of his vocal performances on the album are great, but that's one of my favorites. And I guess just
That's where I learned not to have the speakers on in the room.
but just a song being that long
Speakers
and
on.
that but no, just because that song was so, there was so much work that went into it, and it's a long track and it's pretty epic. Just the way it came together in the end, I was just like really proud of what we all did on that one. So I would, that's why Sympathetic Nightmare would be my pick.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great track. It's a longer track with, like you said, many changes. So people, the new album is out this December the 15th. Here's the album cover once again for Wreathed in Bone. So you can get that right next to Christmas. This is not a Christmas album, people. So if you want to feel cheery for Christmas, this is not the album for it. But if you want like a rocking album with different styles, because I like the punkier, like the shorter. I like it that not every song, because sometimes with doom bands there's like 6 songs and they're all like super long. I like that you divide it with some shorter songs, because there's songs here that are like 2:45. So that's not common for a doom metal band to have like shorter songs. So and I think it gives it the album a more like flow. Sometimes with doom it can get too slow. So I think having those punchier tracks made for like a burst of energy to get ready for the longer tracks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think that's what we intended. Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah. So I know, is it gonna be out digitally on the 15th, and people can probably purchase it on Bandcamp?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. We actually have 2 videos out on YouTube, and then we have 2 songs that you can preview on Bandcamp. And we have Indefensible Future for both, and then I think Open to Attack, and I just drew a blank on the one. Open to Attack's on Bandcamp that you can listen to now, and then you know, everything will be out on the 15th. And then we have it's another video. Sean, help me out here. I just drew a blank.
Hemolacria.
There you go.
Yeah, that song is really psychedelic. And the music video, you have all those colors. And I'm like, yes, this is the song to get stoned, to get stoned this Christmas. Like, listen, put that with the visuals, and you'll be all trippy. And then the other video that you have, you guys are like walking around some town, and the music, and you're like walking around and not looking. You're walking and not looking back, because you don't. Cool people do not look back. If there's explosions, you don't want to look back. You want to have the explosions in the background. So before I let you guys go, so people, yeah.
I was gonna say, cool people like buy records at a record store while they're doing camera shoots, and then we carry around our bags.
Yeah, of course, man. So before I let you guys go, you know, we're at the end of the year, so a lot of people have like a favorite album of the year. So I'll put you on the spot, like if you, for people, if you want my album of the year, just watch my fucking video. But do not ask me. But so let's start with Sean. Like, what's your favorite album of the year this year?
Oh man, it's hard to narrow it down to one. Um, can I mention a couple? Because there was a
Yeah, you
lot
can
of good
mention a
stuff.
couple.
Well, I mentioned this band earlier because we didn't want to steal from them, but Horrendous put out a new album this year, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually covered that one. It's really like
yeah,
progressive stuff with death metal.
yes, yes. That and then that the Tomb Mold record, The Enduring Spirit, that one was phenomenal. Which I think you interviewed
I
them.
interviewed them. That was a very huge interview, and you know what? Super cool, down to earth guys. And I wanted to ask them a question, but because you know that when they put out that album, they were on a metal cover, album cover, and they were being criticized because they wore shirts that weren't metal enough.
That's
Yeah.
And
ridiculous.
I'm like, people were complaining about the shirts. I'm like, listen to the album. It's their best album by far because it's got death metal with progressive stuff. Yeah,
Which
very good album.
I am all in for that. When a death metal band branching out and adding progressive rock style sections, the clean tone guitars, I'm all for all that stuff. I love that. So yeah, that's a phenomenal one. Um, the last one I'll mention is the Acacia Strain put out two albums this year. One is like kind of a deathcore sound, like their traditional sound, and then they put out a doom record alongside of it.
I have to listen to that one. I haven't listened to that one.
Yeah, it's the more aggressive one is called Step Into the Light, and then the doom record is called Failure Will Follow. And they kind of go together. They released them at the same time, but those are both outstanding. So I would say those are probably my albums of the year.
Nice.
So
Free
I had to
picks.
do three. I couldn't just do
Yeah,
one.
I think free picks. Like, Jerry, do you want to do free picks or just one for you?
Well, so here's the weird thing about me is that I listen to a lot of music, but right now I've been kind of deep diving a bunch of older stuff. So for me, new albums wise, I'm gonna pick the two Acacia Strain albums too. They were really, really good. And I actually saw them right before those albums came out with like Fit for an Autopsy and Full of Hell and Primitive Man, I think. Anyway, and it was, and I'd never seen them before, and it was, that I think that's kind of what made those albums kind of really good to me. I really like the new End album, but I always really like their albums. Um, the other thing, I guess, just to be kind of a uh, like a Will Putney fanboy. I like that Better Lovers album a lot.
Yeah, I think that's an EP. It's a cool
Yeah,
EP.
yeah. I really like it. Like I was a pretty big Every Time I Die fan. Not that they are trying to do that or anything like that. I'm just glad that those guys are doing something. I thought that it was kind of terrible they broke up, so I'm glad that they're kind of doing something.
Yeah.
Besides that, yeah, I've been deep dive. I just got finished listening to like everything that I really love from Opeth. So I'll pick a band and not go through, like a band like Opeth has tons of stuff. So I just went through everything that I really love from them. And I think I listened to the last album they did because I hadn't really listened to it yet. Just to have something to, different to listen to. I tend to make playlists and just listen to those over and over and over and over again. So I'm trying to branch out. That's one of my New Year's resolutions is to branch out and listen to something, instead of just instead of just listening to the same thing over and over and over again. So, but those are my
I, I,
picks.
I do that thing as well. Like a few weeks ago, I was listening to the Olivia Rodrigo album. And you know what? I enjoyed it.
So here's the funny story. Here's the funny thing about me. If I go to a concert, I will go to Setlist FM and I'll make a playlist of the set list. So in August, I went and saw Queens of the Stone Age. So that's been
Awesome.
my playlist. I've listened to Queens of the Stone Age since August. Like just like I'll listen to it and then I'll take it, I'll listen to something else and I go back and listen to it because I just had such a good time with that show. So that's honestly what I do.
They're a cool band. I've seen them live too. So finally, Andrew, what albums rocked your year?
Okay. I'm hoping you can help me. You interviewed Incantation, didn't you?
I did. Super cool guys.
Yeah, that new bluish purple. I've got it on vinyl. That new bluish purple album cover. It's got like a big monster thing on the front of it. That one's really good. I'm
Yeah, I
just
can't
not good at
remember the
remembering
name of
albums.
the album, but yeah, I did interview them, and they were a super down to earth guys. We even talked about John Bon fucking Jovi.
Yeah, I met McKenty, I think is how you say his name, at a show years ago, and he's super sweet, down to earth guy. The new, I don't know if it is Autumn. I know you're a Smashing Pumpkins person. Did that come out this year? It was close.
The new Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think
ATUM.
yeah. So you actually liked it? I hated that record. Well, not hated,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I know, and I've said this before. Like, so many people shit on that record, and I agree. Some it could have maybe been
It's the
distilled
autumn
more.
or autumn. Yeah.
Autumn has begun. Yeah, that one. I really liked it, and I've listened to it a lot. I played disc golf, and that's been my soundtrack for disc golf a lot of times. The new Slow Dive, I thought was really good. I don't know
That's
if
a good
anybody
one.
there is a noticeable, like, sonically a change, like maybe about halfway in the album, where like just the simple volume of what's been recorded. I don't know if that was purposeful or some of it was recorded one way and some of it was recorded another, but there is a very noticeable change in how it sounds throughout the course of the album.
Yeah, that's a good record. Actually, I actually covered that one on the channel, and yeah, it's my good friend Señorita Sabrosura saw them live in Chicago, and she told me it's one of the loudest concerts that she's ever been to. And it's shoegaze, but
Yeah.
truly loud, and yeah, just an amazing band. So yeah.
Speaking of loud, I saw Sun earlier this week in Birmingham. Believe it or not. And one more. Did that Russian Circles? I think it's called Gnosis.
No, that came out last year.
Gnosis.
That
Damn,
came out
okay.
last year. Sometimes you blend together. Sometimes like this. That came out last year. But if you like shoegaze, check out a band called Soft Cult. There's two females in the band, and they really mix grunge with shoegaze, and I fucking love them. They have some great
Yeah,
songs
I'll
on it.
definitely check that out.
Yeah, I've been obsessed with
Cool.
that band, and also at the last of December now, the new Code 7 album, really good alternative rock. It was a band from the 90s, and they hadn't put out anything in 20 years, and they're back, and it's awesome record. So so yeah.
Could you put your suggestions in the links below? Your suggestions in the links below.
Well, yeah, I'll put the description for this, but yeah, I have a like an album
Not
of
necessarily ours, but yours, because I'd like to look those up.
yeah, I'll send you a message with suggestions so you can listen to some stuff. So people, again, listen to the new Nothing New record, which is out this Friday. You can already listen to some tracks that are available to you, and support, like more independent artists, because like independent artists need your help, and buy their stuff in Bandcamp, because if you saw Weird Al Yankovic's music, like Spotify video airing, he had like 80 million streams and he made like $12. So there you go. So until next time, people.
Every big band started as a local band.
That is true. That's how all bands start, and that you have to support them. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch. and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.